Peter Mandelson wrote to the then Foreign Secretary saying, "If you were indeed minded to appoint me, I would make sure you never regret it." That Mandelson had been a director of a Russian defense company which had supplied arms to Putin during Putin's invasion of Crimea. Peter Mandelson had an ongoing friendship with Epstein after Epstein had been sent to prison.
More Mandelson files are out, and instead of putting the controversy to rest, they're raising even more questions. Questions about judgment, questions about security, questions about what Britain's government knew and when it knew it. At the center of the storm is Peter Mandelson, the veteran labor power broker whose friendship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has already triggered one of the biggest political crises facing Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Now, more than 1,500 pages of newly released government files are shedding fresh light on how Mandelson landed one of Britain's most important diplomatic jobs, and why that decision is still haunting Downing Street. The documents were released after lawmakers demanded transparency surrounding Mandelson's appointment as Britain's ambassador to the United States at the start of President Donald Trump's second term. And buried inside those files is a promise that has aged badly, very badly. In a note sent to then Foreign Secretary David Lammy in November 2024, Mandelson confidently assured the government that it would never regret appointing him to the Washington Post. But according to the reports surrounding the release, that promise unraveled within months. Starmer eventually removed Mandelson from the role after fresh details emerged about his friendship with Epstein, and the fallout has become a political nightmare for a prime minister already facing mounting pressure from critics and even members of his own party. Opposition conservative lawmaker Alex Burkhardt didn't hold back. He called the appointment a defining failure. "This is a failure that will define this prime minister's premiership," Burkhardt said. "It is a failure that will be written as his political epitaph." And as more documents become public, the controversy keeps getting bigger. The latest files offer a rare glimpse into Mandelson's security vetting process, a process that appears to have raised concerns from the very beginning.
There are a huge number of redactions under the heading third party. On what grounds have these redactions been made? For example, on page 251 of Volume 3, Mandelson refers to someone who is currently staying with him in government property. This name is redacted. Why has it been redacted? Why can the House not be told who is staying in government property with the ambassador? On the national security vetting material, it seems, once again, that the government is happier to provide The Guardian with more information than it is prepared to provide to Parliament. Preparation of the security document for publication appeared in recess, leaked by someone in government who was familiar with it. And then we've seen that The Guardian has achieved from multiple sources that there were concerns raised by the vetting agency about Peter Mandelson's foreign contacts with a Chinese minister, with Oleg Deripaska, with Tamer Heyman, and so on. Multiple sources, and yet we are being asked to believe that this information was only seen by a tiny handful of people within government. Someone, somewhere, is not being frank with us.
Earlier documents released in March revealed ministers had already been warned that Mandelson's friendship with Epstein created what officials described as a reputational risk. Then came another revelation. Mandelson was reportedly approved for the ambassador role despite failing security checks. That disclosure sparked a furious blame game between Starmer's government and senior civil servants. Now, the newly released documents show officials across multiple departments discussing concerns surrounding the vetting process. Mandelson reportedly asked vetting officials whether he was expected to disclose literally every foreign national I have ever met. A Foreign Office official suggested he simply provide several names he had already mentioned. The official wrote that doing so would reassure investigators he had been comprehensive, even if it's all quite artificial. But perhaps the biggest mystery remains unsolved. Why exactly did Mandelson fail security vetting? That answer still isn't public.
Now, if we had time, Mr. Speaker, and we will have time on Wednesday, we could talk about the concerning information about Chagos here. We could talk about the fact that Peter Mandelson, after he had been appointed, asked whether he could do paid work in Shanghai, on a private basis. We could talk about the fact that Peter Mandelson wrote to the then Foreign Secretary saying, "If you were indeed minded to appoint me, I would make sure you never regret it." But the truth is that we must return once again to the process by which Peter Mandelson was appointed. And everything in the documents today show that the Prime Minister did not follow the instructions he was given by the then Cabinet Secretary on the 11th of August 2024. He was told to get security vetting done before the appointment was confirmed, and this the Prime Minister did not do. And he was asked to do that because the Prime Minister had been provided with a due diligence document by the Cabinet Office which said that Peter Mandelson had an ongoing friendship with Epstein after Epstein had been sent to prison, the fact that Mandelson had been a director of a Russian defense company which had supplied arms to Putin during Putin's invasion of Crimea, and the fact that he had maintained unhealthy business relations in China. And yet, despite this, the Prime Minister did not get the security vetting done before he made the appointment. He went ahead and made it anyway, and then the rest of the system was scrabbling around afterwards to try and make up for this error.
The summary of his vetting review was not included in the released files. Officials say it remains tied to an ongoing police investigation involving allegations of misconduct in public office. Government officials insist Mandelson's Epstein connection was not the reason he failed security checks. Instead, a previously released background report pointed to concerns about business links involving Russia and China. Yet, even with thousands of pages now available, many crucial questions remain unanswered. Were safeguards put in place before Mandelson received one of Britain's most sensitive diplomatic positions? The released files don't provide a clear answer. And there's another detail drawing scrutiny. According to the documents, Mandelson refused to provide information from his personal phone. Officials noted the government had no further recourse to search his private devices. For critics, that revelation is only adding fuel to an already raging fire. The controversy deepened even further in February. Mandelson, now 72, was briefly arrested by detectives investigating allegations that he passed sensitive government information to Epstein while serving as a cabinet minister more than 15 years ago. He was later released without bail conditions. The investigation remains ongoing.